What's up, everybody? Good morning. Brent Wofford here, Prescott's local rad realtor, with Travis Smart, the smartest lender in town.
Travis, Smart Choice Lending Team over at Guild Mortgage.
Guild Mortgage, in case you didn't catch it the first time. So, anyways, we are here to bring you your monthly real estate news and market stats for the Prescott and Quad Cities area. So let's just dive right on into it.
Let's do it.
So let's dive into the market stats. We're just going to go over the main things that you need to know if you are looking to buy or sell in the Prescott and Quad Cities area. First of all, in Prescott itself, last month in May, we had 137 houses that sold. And I'm talking about only residential existing homes. I'm not including new construction, not including manufactured homes, pieces of land. So 137 last month, which is up from 112 in April. So that's a good sign for our market. We've got more sales that are happening. We also had more listings hit the market. So we had 242 new listings hit the market in May versus 190 in April. Would you say this is a trend we typically see?
Yeah, especially around this time of the year when it starts warming up, people are starting to come to town. I mean, it's definitely something we see every year. And yeah, I mean, and also, what were you seeing for active listings, did you say?
Active listings is also up. So right now, as of the end of May, we're at 423 active listings on market. So those are homes that you hopefully can get in to go see, up from 398 in April.
Pretty substantial.
Yep. And what y'all have been waiting for, and y'all are always asking, is what's the sales price? What's the average sales price? You know, what's the median sales price here in Prescott? So we're talking about just Prescott right now. Last month, or 2 months ago in April, our average selling price was $580,000, and surprisingly in May it actually went down to $560,000.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's always, real estate's always an amazing investment, but even if you looked at appreciation year over year, and we're very conservative, let's just say that appreciation is 3%, right?
Mm-hmm.
560, 3% of that is almost $20,000 in the span of a year that you would gain in equity.
Wow.
Definitely. That's amazing, man.
Let's dive into the Prescott Valley stats real quick. We're going to go over the same things. So we're going to look at houses that sold. So sold in May, we had 95 homes that sold in May, which is up from 84 in April. If you're looking at the data, it's only 11 homes, but still that's more than 11% because it's under 100 houses that are selling a month in Prescott Valley right now. So,
and I remember last month you were talking about how they had the lowest amount of inventory in Prescott Valley as well. So to see that number going up shows that there's a lot more people looking in that area as well.
Yep. And talking about inventory, we did have 118 new homes hit the market in May, which brought the inventory up to 191 homes available in Prescott Valley at the end of May, which was up from 166 in April. So we did have a slight increase in inventory, but we're still way down. We have a deficit of inventory in Prescott Valley. So, the headlines aren't changing over there as far as housing shortage goes. I would still say that's on par for Prescott Valley.
Definitely.
We had a huge change in price, actually, believe it or not. So sales prices in April, average sales price was $472,000 in April. And median sales price in May dropped down to $450,000.
As far as my clients goes, I've been seeing a lot of the older homes being what's going on in the market. The homes that have been owned for over 20 years that really haven't had a lot of renovations done, remodel. A lot of them, a lot of the ones that I did loans on last month, honestly, were more so renovation, like rehab. They were really excited to be doing different upgrades to the homes. So obviously, if you have a house that you're thinking about selling that is absolutely turnkey, don't let these fool you. You'll do great. You'll definitely do better than when you bought it, depending on if you bought it in the last 2 years or if you bought it longer ago than that. You're definitely going to do amazing.
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, homes that aren't turnkey, that do need a little bit of TLC, or even investor properties, those are going to bring the median price down because we are factoring those homes into this data. So that's your Prescott Valley recap. Let's dive into Chino. All right, Chino Valley stats. So we are looking at number of sold units last month. In May, it was 37, which was up from 29 the month prior. So all across all three cities, Prescott, Prescott Valley, and Chino, we are seeing more home sales in May than we saw in April. So that's a good sign.
And that's over 20%. I know the numbers don't seem big, but if you look at percentages month
that
over
is.
month, that's over 20%. I mean, that's a pretty decent increase.
Yeah. And then as far as listings go, there was actually a decrease.
Mm-hmm.
So new listings hit the market in Chino was 33, but we sold 37.
Yeah.
So that tells me less houses went on the market than what actually sold. So that doesn't help our inventory situation over in Chino Valley. So right now at the end of May, it's saying 76 with 75 in the month prior. So pretty much stagnant there.
But and when there isn't a lot more listings going on to the market, it's not obviously going to support driving prices down. I mean, a lot of folks have said, "Oh, we're waiting for the crash to happen." With the low inventory, the crash isn't coming. I mean, there's not enough houses on the market.
No,
They're not building them fast enough.
Yeah, we would need to see inventory be at least 3 to 4 times what it is right now.
Oh, at least.
So
sure.
What that means is if you're driving through your neighborhood, we need to see 3 to 4 more times the number of for sale signs in your neighborhood than we do right now. So I don't know about your neighborhood, but I drive through mine. There's maybe a couple, but it's not like it was a year and a half ago.
No.
That's for sure.
No, it's definitely not. And it's important to kind of pay attention to those things. Pay attention to what your neighbors' houses are selling for. Pay attention if you go. We have the most user-friendly county website that I've ever utilized as far as searching an address, seeing what the square footage is, the year built. That's going to be a good way to kind of gauge, okay, hey, someone put their house on the market for this, but what did it sell for, right?
Yeah.
Those typically are two different things. What they're, go on the market for and what they end up selling for. Two different things, could be up or down.
Speaking of what things are selling for, over in Chino Valley, in April, the median sales price was $355,000, and last month it jumped up to $435,000.
Wow.
Which is super interesting because the median list price was $419,000. So this is kind of an anomaly. I don't know. There's got to be some specific data in there somewhere I'm not going to dive into and go down that rabbit hole. But what this is telling me is that the median sales price was higher than the list price. So that tells me that we had a couple of houses that sold that might have had bidding wars, and they sold above what they were listed for.
And that's a lot of what I've been seeing recently is when homes are priced right or maybe just slightly under what the comps are at, people are buying them. People are, I've had a few clients that have actually gotten into multiple offer situations recently, and this is just in the last week, to be fully honest with you. And that's where, looking at and paying attention to days on market on the house that you're interested in. It's really important to see what kind of negotiating power you have as a buyer. And that's something that obviously you're amazing with and help people gauge every day.
I try. I make an effort at it. So that's interesting,
Stop
though. So let's dive into that a little bit more, though. So you're seeing multiple offers without going into too much detail because you've got client confidentiality that you have to maintain.
Of course.
What price point would you say those are at? Would you say those are at around the median price point that we were just talking about? Would you say those are below the median price point or above?
I would say anything that's been around $440 and below have been getting a lot more offers. A lot of offers. I've had a lot of the two in particular last week. One was actually at $340. The other one was at $350, and then the third one was at $540. But the neighbor's house had sold for like $600.
Oh,
you know
okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just one of those situations. Yep, exactly. And people saw that.
Let's dive into some real estate headlines here. Actually, before we do that, give us an update on the lending side. Since I gave an update on the real estate side, the real estate data for the local area, give us a little lender, market minute here.
Definitely. Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to an amazing team member of mine, Ayla Duchesne. Happy birthday. Today is her birthday. So wanted to wish her a happy one. So obviously there's been a lot going on. If you turn on the news, if you open even your Google search, that shows all the different articles. A lot of articles have been about the debt ceiling, right? So up until they reached an agreement, that had a very negative impact on mortgage-backed securities and interest rates because there was a lot of fear that an agreement wouldn't be reached. So since they had signed a bill into raising it, mortgage-backed securities have improved. There has been a few different things that have come up recently that impacted them negatively slightly. Things such as the amount of jobs that were released was double the amount that expectations were. However, on the other side of that, unemployment increased by over 0.2%. But the biggest thing that is really coming up that the markets are waiting for to see, okay, what is going to happen is next week CPI is going to be released, which is the consumer price index, which shows inflation. So right now we're at 4.9%, the headline number. The hope or what the expectations are looking closer to 4.3%, which would be amazing. And that's also coincides with when they're doing the Fed meeting. So a lot of the time what we end up seeing is they do their Fed meeting, they make a decision, but then CPI comes out, right? Here they're going to actually have the inflation data in order to make a decision whether they want to hold where they're at, possibly do another hike. Last I saw, the likelihood of them doing another hike was 20%. Really wasn't much input on them actually cutting rates right now, and then about 80% that they're going to hold where they're at. But I think a lot of it's just going to hinge on what they come out with.
That fluctuates with the tides, though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like every day I hear something different. Well, one side, and that's how it is with media, anyways. So we all know that. The narrative is different depending on which source you're plugged into. But yeah, I've heard that. I've also heard, over 50% chance that they're going to do another rate hike.
It depends on the day.
Yeah,
it's absolutely. If anybody has the crystal ball, share it because this market's a lot different as far as predictability and following different trends. Right now the trends aren't necessarily the most important things. Things that came up even over the weekend was how much oil we're going to be getting from Saudi Arabia. That went down by 10%, right?
Yeah.
So what happens with gas prices when we have less oil available?
They go up.
They go up. Is gas a contributing thing for inflation data next month? Yes, it is.
Yep.
So this month we should definitely see a decline, if it's not all the way down to 4.3%, just because that was what held us up the last month was gas prices, but they did go down throughout May.
Didn't feel like it.
Well, we don't see that at the pumps, right?
Yeah. I mean, we did a little bit, but not significantly. It wasn't back way down where it should be. But that's a non-real estate topic, and we're going to stay on the real estate trend. So let's dive into. Thank you for that.
Of course.
Minute, by the way. So let's dive into the headlines here. So I just Googled real estate news, and then we'll pick a couple and kind of go off of that. So. Fed's man-made housing market recession hit so hard that 4 real estate titans just lost their Fortune 500 status. I didn't hear about that one. Rocket Mortgage and Zillow just fell out of the Fortune 500. Should we talk about that? I don't know if
Zillow was a big thing when it came, topic last year when they lost a lot by having bought homes overpriced. Remember?
Yeah.
And they lost a lot of money doing that.
Yep. Them and Open Door, and there's a number of other businesses that were big companies that were trying to get into the flipping game. And when the market changes and average price or median price goes down, it doesn't make sense to be flipping houses without putting any sweat equity in them.
That's fact.
So that's not surprising right there. Rocket Mortgage, that's also not surprising. Does Zillow own them?
I don't know.
Or is it Quicken that Quicken
Loans owns Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah. So, that's also not surprising. I mean, I don't know if you've ever tried going online to get a home loan, but oftentimes it's like you call a 1-800 number, they transfer you 4 times, you get in touch with somebody who's in an office suite that's either on the West Coast in California somewhere or on the East Coast, and they work banker's hours, and they might give you a nice piece of paper that says you're pre-qualified, but you go to actually get the loan, and I hate to say it, but majority of the time whenever we see those, buyers actually get denied in the middle of escrow. Then they got to go and switch to a local lender like Travis, who's got to clean up the mess and rush everything through in a matter of 2 weeks when it normally takes 4 weeks for an escrow. So I say all that to say, skip Rocket Mortgage, skip Quicken Loans, skip those online mortgage brokers, because oftentimes the rates are going to be a little bit higher, even though they advertise less fees or lower fees up front. It's because they're making it back up on the rate. So go to talk to a local lender like Travis. There's also a number of other local lenders here in town. So I mean, I'm partial to Travis, but I also have a couple other lenders in my portfolio that I could hook you up with. So
And the other thing with
what are your thoughts
Quicken-
on that, there,
well,
Mister? I'm trying to be kind of like the middleman here, but
Okay,
Travis
Switzerland.
is
We
like,
got Switzerland over here. I'm just kidding. No, but when it comes to, and I'm not trying to ever talk negatively about another company, but I do have an intimate knowledge of Quicken. The person that you speak to, or mortgage banker, as I call them, their job is not to actually get you pre-approved. Their job is to get you to agree to something and to get you into processing, and let them decide whether or not you're good to go. I mean, and the way that they're compensated is on tiers, so they have to get as much as they can into their processor for that decision to be made. And that piece of paper just doesn't hold as much weight when somebody's reputation is tied to their area. I mean, this isn't the area where you go around doing a bad job if you are in this industry in hopes of continuing on and having a good reputation and helping your clients. What else have you been seeing? I know that I've been hearing, Austin real estate prices drop. Well, they're like the one outlier as far as like big cities goes, as far as them having higher inventory.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to, I believe I was reading it recently, like Phoenix, LA, their prices have been holding pretty well because of the lack of inventory. They're really, really down. Just in case you are somebody who is in Phoenix who is thinking about moving up here, I mean, your inventory is low, so you can do really well.
Well, you got to, in order to understand this, you have to know the migration patterns too. There was a huge migration out of California into Austin, Texas in 2020 and 2021. And some of those tech companies said, we want you back. And if you don't come back to our offices in California, you're going to lose. I've personally met a couple people here in the Prescott area that had to do that, where they had to go back to California or lose their job. They're given the ultimatum. They didn't necessarily say, I'm going to go back to California, but they were given an ultimatum. So think of how many people migrated out of California, specifically the Bay Area, and went to Austin, and now they're either going back or, home prices just got so inflated there that people are leaving.
And another thing too is like I know a decent amount about Amazon, and they've talked about how they want to lay off 10% of their employees. So what did they do? They started telling the remote people that they had to start coming into the office in hopes of them essentially attriting themselves out of their job, deciding, I'm not going to go into the office. I need to get a different job that's remote, rather than them having to fire them and pay them some sort of severance package.
Yep. Here's a headline that I think we can resonate with here in Prescott area is real estate experts see fewer listings, more competition in summer market. We're already seeing that. In that data that we just went through, we're seeing that in May, home sales were up and inventory was up as well. So we will see what comes in June and July and August.
Well, and to me, a lot of articles that I've seen keep on talking about how interest rates are impacting people's decision to move or list a house because, over 70% of homeowners have interest rates under 4%. But at the end of the day, the difference between 4 and 7 or 4 and 6.5 isn't terribly substantial. But I also had a client recently who sold their house, paid off a huge amount of debt, bought a nicer house, put $60,000 in their pocket, and their monthly outgoing expenses went down by $2,000 a month, even with the higher interest rates. So there are so many different things that can help your family. Don't be so fixated on the interest rate on the house where you stop paying attention to, hey, your credit card with the 20% interest rate is now at 30. Your car loan, average car payment is over $800 a month. Over 25% of them are over $1,000. I mean, it's just, there's different ways to alleviate some of your financial stress by buying a home, selling a home, and paying off different debts. So there's good debts in that.
Right?
Yeah.
Along the same thing. So 100%. Even if you don't want to make a move, you could do a refi. And you talk to Travis about that. Do a refi where you've got it, some of those car loan debts or those other debts that you have that are monthly payments. You can just kind of clump those all into one, and even though interest rates are up compared to where they were a year and a half, 2 years ago on the mortgage side of things, you still might be able to get a better rate on doing a refinance on a mortgage than what your car payment is. You might be at a 10 or 12% rate on a car, and if you factor that in, that's another different conversation. That's more of a finance conversation.
Yeah.
We're not financial advisors. Don't take our advice on it, but that is a possibility that you could do with Travis if you're interested.
And there's just so many different strategies and so many different things to look into as far as, okay, hey, I have this really, really low rate, but I hate my house, but I like that I have a lower payment with it. and I have all these other responsibilities, so I'm still stressed. So there's
Yeah.
ways of relieving yourself of different burdens and responsibilities and lowering your stress levels, especially when, like we mentioned earlier, I mean, gas prices are up. Different things still cost money. They're still inflated, maybe not as much as before on a year-over-year basis. So definitely, it's always worth a conversation. It's
Yep.
always worth a conversation, and to have it before you start falling behind, because once you are behind, it's hard to catch back up. And I can attest to that personally.
How much is your consultation fee?
It's zero.
Zero.
Zero. Yep.
Does that mean anybody can come in and
Absolutely.
they can have a
They can have as
complimentary
much.
consult with you?
Oh, they can have as much
That's
time
cool.
with mine as they like, and I absolutely love talking about these things. And there's nothing more fulfilling than helping somebody accomplish a dream or live a less burdensome life with different liabilities and debts. It's just
They don't have to sign over a kidney or a
No.
firstborn to you or anything?
no, unless it's a son, because I do have 4 daughters. If you want to sign over a son to me, I'm absolutely kidding, but
That's cool, man. That's
think
awesome
about
that you offer that.
Yeah.
So,
No,
so take advantage of that. If you have any questions on the lending side of things, or you have questions about what Travis just talked about, hit him up and set up a time to go meet in his office and pick his brain. Bam! Look at this. Again, not what Travis and I are saying, but what we said earlier. This lady, Megan Allison, said, real estate agents tell me interest rates aren't scaring buyers off as much as they saw a year ago. They say homes that are priced right are getting multiple offers as we go into summer. Very interesting. She's not talking to Prescott agents. You know, this is national news that we're looking at right now. She's a reporter, and that aligns perfectly with what we were talking about.
And I think that's due to when there was a shift like what we saw last year, going from 3% to 6% in a very short amount of time. It's hard to accept that kind of change. It was very, very quickly, and as time goes on, it's starting to become more of a accepted thing, because change is a hard thing to accept, but once it's accepted, it's people get more accustomed to it as well.
Here we go. Here's another headline. Sofia Vergara slices the price on her elegant Beverly Hills mansion to a cool $18 million. That's a price reduction to $18 million.
That's a steal.
What the heck? Wow.
That is nice.
She dropped the price of the freshly renovated Tuscan-style villa by about $1.6 million. So she listed it at $19,600,000, and she dropped it down to $17,995,000. So not just under $18 million. So
didn't they add? Is that in
Wow.
California?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, didn't they add the luxury sales tax for
Oh
homes
yeah.
like that as well?
Yep.
No.
Thank God we're in Arizona. So
Yep. 110. That does not apply to people here.
Nope. It also doesn't help that this news article tells us that she bought it in 2014. It's for $10.6 million. So she's not hurting on the sale of that property, even if she sells it at $18 million. So 11,369 square feet. What would you even do with 11,000 square feet?
Well, I can. It's interesting because she probably hasn't even used every restroom in there, and But when you think about that from a percentage point, I mean, we're talking about what 60, 70%, if not higher, appreciation in the span of less than 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
All right. Any last things that you want to talk about?
Well, obviously, hey, there's a lot of people who have different concerns about selling. There's a lot of misinformation on the news. There's so many different things, and it's never a bad thing to ask the questions. If you have any sort of questions about what's going on in the market, as far as, hey, what can I sell my house for? Here's what I would like in a dream home. Brent is going to be an amazing resource for you. And here's the thing is, my consultation fee is $0. What is the consultation fee for yourself? If someone wants to ask you questions, talk to you, pick your brain, have you look at their home, do CMA, and possibly list their house, what is the consultation fee for that?
I don't charge, actually.
Yeah.
So I don't charge to do a consult. So I wouldn't say it's free. I don't like to use the word free, but definitely complimentary. Just get in touch with me. I can come meet you in your home and give you a packet that shows you what sold in your neighborhood recently, what your current competition is that's on the market, and what we think we could position your home at to get you as far as value if you are interested in selling.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the marketing, and I mean those,
Yep.
and obviously,
And on the buyer side too, I also don't charge for buyer consults. So we can do that at my office, which is right downtown on the corner of Whiskey Row. We're on Montezuma and Gurley at Keller Williams, and I can meet you there. And if you're a first-time buyer or you're a seasoned buyer, if you're an investor, I help everybody out. So.
and I'll leave you with this thought: if you're buying a home, you do not pay the buyer's agent's commission.
Not yet.
Not yet. I don't know what you know that I don't know, but probably a lot.
We won't dive into that
No.
today, but there is legislation that's working on getting, it's kind of at the grassroots level that people are trying to pass, and it's not us as realtors that are trying to pass this, but there are certain activist groups that are trying to pass where sellers don't pay a buyer's agent's fee. And if that happens, buyers, you're going to either be unrepresented, which means that you're not going to know everything that you should know when buying a property, which is a huge
Huge negative.
it's a huge negative
Huge.
on the buyer side. Or B, you're actually going to have to pony up and pay for the buyer agent to represent you on top of your closing costs. So, and your down payment.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that that doesn't pass.
This has been the June real estate market update for Prescott and the Quad Cities area.